Good morning. My name is Mike. This is the Aud Pod, and it's a podcast where I interview podcasters and a YouTube channel and an Instagram channel. But here's the thing. I have about 5 minutes before my food is ready, so I want to cover 5 things I wish I knew about podcasting before I got involved in this devilish business. So, let's go. First off, this takes up a shitload of time. So, unless you're willing to invest like a full-time job into this, don't do it, because podcasting eats up a lot of time. It doesn't matter if, well, for me, I put a podcast out once a week, and each podcast is about 40 minutes, and you have to edit that, and that's all easy peasy. It's the marketing. Holy crap. Setting up the interviews, doing the back end, when you're making like these audiograms and everything else. Oh, the marketing. Non-stop, man. Takes up so much time. So be prepared to invest a lot of time. 2, make sure that you love whatever it is that you're talking about, because you are going to get so sick of it so fast. At first, I thought I wanted to talk about audiobooks. That's why I called it the Aud Pod. And you know what? I love audiobooks. I was reading them while listening to them all the time, and I was devouring like 30, 35 a year. Well, now you know what? Now I have no time to listen to them. Zero time, zero spare time. So I can't listen to audiobooks anymore, which is why I switched over to interviewing podcasters. And the thing about interviewing the podcasters is that, well, you got to find the podcasters. So I don't know if that's a part 2 or a part 3 or what that might be, but if you're going to interview people, well, be prompt, be on time, be polite, and you might have trouble finding them on who you want to interview. And there are Facebook groups that focus on just interviewing, for example. So I suggest you log into there. So is that part 2.5? Sound. Yes. I have a microphone attached to my cell phone, and this is called a dead cat. And this is not what I use for podcasting. So let's step back a bit. That's part 3 is sound. Let's make that part 4. Part 3. When it comes to finding, or lesson 3, third thing I wish I knew, when it comes time to finding your host for where you want to host your podcast, there's a bunch of different companies out there. I use Anchor.fm, because it's free and it seems to work fine. And then from there, you're given like this RSS feed, which stands for something syndicate. I forget what it is. Really silly syndicate, maybe. And from there, that RSS feed is sent out to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, podcasters, and different tools, like different applications that people use to listen to podcasts. So that takes us to sound. Part 4. You will need to invest in a good mic. And I can't tell you how many podcasts I listen to where they stick like one mic around 4 people, for example, and they're all talking, and they all sound like they are just in a hollow room because there's no noise padding or no protection from any outside sources. So for now, I am in like this enclosed box, which is largely made of glass, and you can hear that those echoes are all over the place. So if you're thinking of getting into a podcast, I would strongly suggest that you start off in your closet and invest in a good mic, and do not use like your iPod headphones with the cords, because what that does is, hear that sound? Yeah, that would be the mic rubbing up against your beard or your chin or your jacket or your shirt or whatever it is that you might have there. It creates a static sound, like a rustling sound, and it sounds horrible, and no one wants to listen to a horrible sound. And I guess point 5 that I wish that I knew before I got into podcasting, it's you have to be consistent. So if you say you're going to put a podcast out on a Friday, put a podcast out on a Friday. Don't dick around. Just get it done. And once again, that's going to eat into your time. That's it. So 5 things I wish I knew about podcasting. How much time it took? I forget what number 2 was. Number 3 was the hosting. Loving what you do. That was number 2. The hosting, the sound, and being consistent. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. There is so much more to know about podcasting that I could go on for hours. But if you listen to my podcast, The Aud Pod, you'll hear me talking with other podcasters who discuss all of their ins and outs and tricks and tips of being a podcaster. And I would suggest that you listen to that prior to starting a podcast, or if you're just starting out, because you can pivot. You can make changes. You can tweak things. You can maneuver. Oh, and make sure that your name that you want to use for your podcast is available on all social platforms. Because, man, my name, like I started as The Aud Pod. On Twitter, I'm like The Aud Pod 1. On Instagram, I'm The Aud Pod. My channel name, I think, is just Aud Pod. So, my marketing and my branding is not cohesive with the name of the podcast. All right, food's ready. I got to go. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. You know where to find me. All the links are down below.